There are some calls you can never return, and sometimes the last thing you ignore is the very thing that could have saved you. This is a story about 3 missed calls and how they changed a man forever. When Jake turned 24, he thought he had life figured out. College dropout, bartender by night, sleeper by day, a small apartment he barely paid for, and a head full of dreams he never chased. In his words, he was just vibing. No plan, no discipline, no one to answer to, except the one person who always showed up, his dad. Jake's father was nothing like him. Blue collar, hard hands, woke up at 5 a.m., said things like, "You don't have to be great, just show up." He called every Sunday like clockwork, but lately Jake stopped picking up. "I'll call him back later," he'd say. He never did. One night, Jake was out partying, a blur of neon lights, cheap drinks, and temporary friendships. He felt alive, or at least distracted. But while he laughed with strangers, his phone buzzed quietly in his pocket. One missed call. Dad. 15 minutes later, another. Then one more. 3 missed calls. Then silence. Jake didn't notice until the next morning. He looked at the screen. Dad. 3 calls. No voicemail. He rolled his eyes, set the phone down, and went back to sleep. When he finally called back 2 days later, someone else answered. A woman's voice, shaky. "Jake, it's Susan, from your dad's building." Silence. She took a breath. "I'm sorry, he passed away in his sleep. Heart attack. They think it happened 2 nights ago." Jake dropped the phone. His world stopped. In the loudest silence of his life, he remembered the moment, the music, the drinks, the jokes, the phone buzzing in his pocket. He wasn't there, not when it mattered, not when it could have counted, not for the man who was always there. Guilt doesn't knock, it crashes. Jake started avoiding people. He quit his job, turned off his phone. Every night he played those 3 missed calls in his head, like a movie he couldn't pause or rewind. His dad had raised him alone, fixed his bike, showed up to every school event, even when Jake didn't care, gave everything, and never asked for anything in return. Except maybe one thing. A little time, a little effort, a little callback. Jake spiraled. He tried numbing the guilt with more parties, but every drink tasted like regret. Every song reminded him of what he'd never get back. One day he found his dad's old notebook. In the back was a page titled, "Things I Hope Jake Learns One Day." And under it, "Wake up early, make your bed, return calls, earn your peace. Be better than me," Jake broke down. Right there on the floor, sobbing like a child. It wasn't just the pain of losing his father, it was the shame of wasting his life. That was the day everything changed. Grief can do 2 things. It can bury you, or it can become the reason you rise. Jake didn't wake up one morning as a new man. There were no epic speeches, no training montages, just a quiet decision. I owe him more than this. The first thing he did was make his bed. It sounds small, but it felt like a battle won. Then he cleaned the apartment, tossed the beer cans, washed the dishes, donated clothes he hadn't worn in years. For the first time, Jake started choosing discomfort because comfort had cost him too much. He took a job delivering packages, minimum wage, early hours, but he showed up day after day, no excuses, no one clapping, just him. Each morning at 5 a.m. he whispered, "Let's go, Dad," and stepped out the door. He stopped running from the silence, started reading books his dad once quoted. Books about discipline, purpose, ownership. He read Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins 3 times. Not because he wanted to be a Navy SEAL, but because he wanted to become someone he could respect. And some days, he broke. The grief hit like a wave, on his lunch break, in the stairwell, on his birthday. But he never skipped the routine. He showed up in pain. He showed up when no one watched. He showed up for the version of himself that his father believed in. 6 months passed. He wasn't rich, wasn't famous. But Jake was different. He woke up early, worked with pride, called his aunt every week, visited the cemetery once a month, and on that gravestone he whispered, "I'm becoming the man you raised. I swear it." 1 year after the calls he never answered, Jake stood in front of a group of 10 teens at a local community center. No microphone, no stage, just a folding chair and a story. He told them about the 3 missed calls, about the man who raised him, and the version of himself he lost before he ever found it. He wasn't trying to be a hero, he just wanted them to wake up before it was too late. One kid asked, "Why do you work so hard now? What changed you?" Jake smiled, looked down at the floor for a second, then said, "Regret will either destroy you or rebuild you. I chose rebuild." Afterward, he walked home, stopped by the cemetery. Same bench, same gravestone. This time he sat in silence, but it didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful. He took out his phone, set a new contact photo for his dad, and then he did something simple. He called the voicemail. One saved message, a year old. "Hey buddy, just checking in. Call me back when you can." "Love you," Jake whispered. "I'm calling you back now." Tears filled his eyes, but this time they weren't from guilt, they were from growth. If this story lit even a tiny spark in you, type "I choose growth" in the comments. Let it be your first step forward. And if you're ready to rise through pain, the next video on your screen is exactly where you need to go. I'll see you there.